Welcome to Mrs. Bibb's math class. We are learning today how to create and solve equations from real-world scenarios or word problems. Please make sure to complete your table of contents. Make sure you label every page of your notebook properly. Make sure you complete your daily warm-ups. And then we'll get right to the notes. It says here to write and solve an equation to find three consecutive odd integers that have a sum of 63. The first thing I want you to do is to define a variable. I like to use x. You can use y. I think a lot of times a textbook will actually use the letter n for a number. So we're going to say x is the first one. Three consecutive odd. Before I continue, let me go through something that I always go through with my students before we actually write these. I ask my students to tell me three consecutive odd integers, and a lot of times they'll give me 1, 3, and 5. And I'll say, okay, give me double-digit consecutive odd integers. And so I'll get 17, 19, 21. And sometimes I'll take one more set of three. And so let's do 105, 107, 109. The next thing I ask them is, how do I go from this one to this one? And I'll get add 2. How do I go from this one to this one? Add 4. Wonder if there's a pattern. How do I go from this one to this one? Add 2. 17 plus 2 is 19. How do I go from 17 to 21? Add 4. Seems to be a pattern. 105 to 107, add 2. 105 to 109, add 4. So if it says you have three consecutive odd integers, and your first integer is x, what will be the next one? X plus 2. That's my second consecutive odd integer. And what's the third one? Because it says there's 3, x plus 4. If it says there were 4, then x plus 6 would be the next one. That's the pattern. Now it says, write and solve an equation to find three consecutive odd integers that have a sum of 63. What does this mean? It's the answer to an addition problem. So I'm going to add these three expressions together. X plus 2 plus x plus 4, and that has to equal the sum that's given of 63. Now let's solve. How do we start to solve an equation? We combine like terms if we have any on the left and the right. On the left I have 1x, 1x, and 1x. When I add those together I get 3x. 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 6. Three x will equal 57, I do believe. Divide both sides by 3. X will equal 3 goes into 5 one time, 2 left over. 3 goes into 27 9 times. So my first integer is 19. My second integer is 19 plus 2. And my third integer is 19 plus 4. So here's my three consecutive integers that when I add them together, and let's confirm, when I add them together, I get 63. And let's just do that quickly to show you. 19 plus 21 plus 23 is 63. So that is correct. And this is the work that I would expect to see. Define a variable. Here's how you define your variable. Write the equations to fit the scenario, and we did, and then solve to find the answer or answers, and we did that. So that's the answer to question question 1. And that's the way I'd like to see your work on your paper. For question 2, one angle of a triangle has a measure of 66 degrees. The measure of the third angle is 57 degrees more than half the measure of the second angle. The sum of the angle measures of a triangle is 180 degrees. What is the measure of the second angle? What is the measure of the third angle? So we have to answer these two questions. Now, we have 3 angles. So I'm defining my variables. We actually know the first angle. The first angle is 66 degrees, so there's no variable there. The second angle, we don't know because it just says of the second angle. It says the measure of the third angle is 57 degrees more than half the measure of the second angle. So that tells me, because this occurs in this prepositional phrase, that tells me that x is going to be the second angle. And then the third angle is, when you see the helping verb is in mathematics, then you're using an equal sign. So the measure of the third angle is 57 degrees more than half the measure of the second angle. So 57 degrees more than, that means you're adding, half the second angle. Now, the sum of the angles is 180 degrees. And I won't use a calculator again. I know I said at the beginning of the notes that you should not use a calculator. I just wanted to add those up here. I'll show you what I would do if I did not have the use of a calculator. So 66 plus 57, and please feel free in the margin of your paper to do what I'm about to do. 66 plus 57, 6 plus 7 is 13, 11, 12, so 123. 1 plus 1/2 is 1 1/2. Better written as an improper fraction, multiply then add. I'm going to subtract 123 from both sides. I'm going to put that up here. 180 minus 123. I'm going to make that 10. Make that 17. So 57. 10, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 57 degrees. Next, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Some of you would multiply by the reciprocal. That's fine. 57 times 2, 14 plus 1, so 114. Divide by 3. X will equal, 3 goes into 11. 3 times with 2 left over, 3 goes into 24, 8 times. So the measure of the second angle is 38 degrees. And the measure of the third angle is half of 38 plus 57. So half of 38 is 19. And 19 plus 57, that's 16, 5, 6, 7, 76 degrees. So the two missing answers, what is the second angle? That's 38 degrees. What is the third angle? That's 76 degrees. I make a table for these that just helps me. This will define your variable also. You've got a cousin and you've got a brother. Your cousin is 8 years older than your brother. So you don't know how old your brother is, and your cousin is 8 years older than that. 3 years ago, so this is now, and this column will be then. 3 years ago, let's look at this one. How do I find out how old my brother was 3 years ago? If he was 10, 3 years ago, he would be 7. If my brother is 20, 3 years ago, he would be 17. So how do I find my brother's age 3 years ago? If his age is X, I subtract 3. How do I find my cousin's age? I take the age he is now, and I subtract 3. So, for my cousin, when I combine like terms, I would use X plus 5. Now, it says 3 years ago, that was this how we handled 3 years ago. Your cousin was twice as old as your brother. Your cousin, now I know I said when you see the helping verb is, but was is the past tense form of is. So you would use an equal sign here. Your cousin, 3 years ago, your cousin, so X plus 5, this is your cousin, was twice as old, so you multiply by 2, as your brother. Now let's solve that. Distribute on the right-hand side. Subtract X. Add 6. X will be 11. It says, how old is your cousin now? How old is your brother now? So my brother is 11. And my cousin is 11 plus 8, which is 19 years old. Okay, that's the answer to number 3.